Welcome back to the channel. So the last update video I made a long time ago, and a lot of those plans that I made in that video didn't necessarily end up happening, but this year is going to be a lot more eventful, and I mean it this time. For those that watch me, yes, there are a lot of videos on this channel, and yes, they are also solely dedicated to Gaming Dudes Podcast. Well, that era is going to end. Yes, I do want to continue doing Gaming Dudes Podcast, but I also want to do my own stuff too. A lot of my content is going to be restructured, and what I mean by that is, first off, I'm going to have actual video of myself in these videos where I talk about games, because I feel like it's harder to emphasize a point or get it across. And in some ways, it makes the content feel a lot more professional, if that makes any sense, because it's supposed to be like a presentation. And most presentations have an actual person in front of the camera, rather than being just a disembodied voice. Secondly, the manga review series is going to start pretty soon, most likely in January, I'd say, because I've had to buy a lot of stuff and change a lot of camera settings to make this look professional. But unfortunately, you're still going to have to wait till January to see the second episode, technically, of the series. Next thing to discuss is the fact that the content is going to have to be shorter. That is, at least until I get better with this camera and figuring out how long the battery life lasts, and whatever other quirks this camera might have. Another thing I want to talk about before we get on to the final point is the big project I want to build up with this channel. I still want to make the Halo mod I talked about, and I would like to finish it and release a trailer for it on this channel to build up anticipation for it. But it's going to take time. But it will release one day, and I will 100% put a trailer on this channel for it once it's done. Now for the last talking point. I'm excited to announce that I'm going to be making a solo podcast on a separate channel called the Spideyseth. Yet again, once I've learned the ins and outs of this camera, it will become a video podcast pretty quickly. It's basically a place where I just, on my own, discuss nerdy lore and Star Wars, nostalgic old games that I grew up with, particularly reviews of those games, plus updates on my projects that I'm working on in the background, and maybe some discussions on like modding communities or other random stuff and all that. As to what schedule there will be for it, I'll discuss when I release the first episode, but right now I'm going to have to think about it. But that's all I wanted to discuss and announce. Sorry about the fact that 2024 this year has been so slow. I promise that the next one will be much quicker and actually filled with content that's not just Gaming Dudes Podcast.